Today I want to talk a little bit about masculine and feminine energetics when it comes to manifestation. This is very common language right now. You will see a lot of people who are talking about feminine energetics and how to use their feminine energetics to manifest more wealth in their lives, things like that. But then there's also this whole play on the masculine and how the masculine energy works in manifestation. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about those two, how I see them, and then how I make sure that I'm a perfect balance of the two, and then how do I know when I'm a balance, and then how do I pay attention to that for myself. So hopefully it'll be helpful for you today. There's a lot of dialogue about feminine and masculine energy. What I want to do is just first step back and have us realize that in this universe, it is by law that there is two poles to everything. There's two sides to everything. There's an up, there's a down, there's a left, there's a right, there's a happy, there's a sad, there's a strong, there's a weak, there's a positive, there's a negative. So when we're talking about energetics and we're talking about feminine energy and masculine energy, we are simply talking about two different sides or two different poles on a way in which we exist energetically. I don't want us to get confused with gender and energy related to gender. So when I talk about my femininity and being feminine, I might be talking about gender associations. So I might be talking about how feminine of a woman I am, what kind of jewelry I wear and makeup and how I dress, and if I wear floral dresses or whatever. We're talking about feminine qualities maybe related to gender. And then if we talk about masculinity, we might talk about a man who wears a certain type of clothing that talks with a lower tone and that holds doors open for women, and they're very masculine. But that's a little bit different than what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the feminine and the masculine poles in terms of your energy that exists within you. So every single one of us, every spiritual being having a human experience, within that human experience has different ways of energetically showing up, different ways of vibrating. So when I am in my masculine, it shows up differently than when I'm in my feminine. And there's different practices and things that we can use, and I'll show you what that means. But it's not necessarily gender, but it's more about how I'm showing up. So I want us to separate, because when we try to tell a very masculine man that he could tap into feminine energy to manifest more in his life, he's gonna go, well, I don't wanna be more female. Like, what are you talking about? But that's not what we mean. So I wanna make sure that's super, super clear. And the same goes for women. If there's a woman that is very, very much in her feminine energy, but isn't in the doing, tends to procrastinate, is in the middle of the doing gap, and we say, okay, let's tap into your masculine energy a little bit more, we don't mean become more manly or more like a man. We mean tap into the energetics available within you. So I hope that clarifies where this conversation is going to go. But when you are manifesting your life, it is a process that occurs. So when we are deciding what we want out of our lives and we're setting goals for the experience that we want to have, we have energies within us that are available to help us to manifest that reality into the physical 3D world. So many of us were taught, and this is a perfect example for me, I was taught in order to create the life that I desire, I need to work very, very hard. I need to work more hours. I need to be disciplined, committed, to be a peak performer, show up as my best, leave nothing on the table, and be almost as perfect as I possibly can to manifest the dream life that I wanted. And so that is a very masculine or mechanical way of creating success. And that success is created through the doing, through the moving of your body, the working hard. So go get a job, make an hourly wage, work more hours, make more money. It is a classic masculine or mechanical way of creating success. But there is also other parts of us that could aid us in creating greater success that we haven't been taught to use. And that is the feminine energetics, or if you want to call it more spiritual energies, the softness, the nurturing, the surrender, the being, the rest and recovery, the reprogramming of the subconscious mind. Those are the feminine energetics that are available to you to tap into the masculine energy. So we always want that beautiful balance. We want to make sure that we are taking that action, that we are showing up every day, that we're moving. Law of attraction has the word action in it. So in order to attract what you desire, you must act in the assumption that what you desire is done, which involves action. So yes, we want to take action towards our goals. But where the beautiful magic started happening for me was I was taking action in the masculine, and then I went over here and I started looking at my mindset. I started looking at my identity and how can I be more confident and love myself more and nurture ideas of success in the subconscious mind? How can I become more spiritual? How can I meditate more? How can I use the power of imagination? So a very, very masculine person is probably not going to want to sit down and visualize their dreams coming true for 30 minutes a day. They're going to go after their dreams. Do it. Like, let's go get it. Let's make it happen. Whereas now I understand I can be over here running towards my goals, but I can also be visualizing them, which brings them to me actually even faster. So the real power lies behind understanding where I am on that trajectory. So a lot of people, when they come into my energy first and they start learning from me in like the Millionaire Program or in my inner circle, maybe it's in Modern Mentor, they will come in and they start learning more about these energies, the masculine versus the feminine energy. And then the first thing that they'll start to notice is, where do I sit? So some people will find themselves over on the one side where they're very highly feminine. So these are people that love to dream, they love to meditate, they love to rest, they love to be out in nature hiking, they love to ground themselves, they love to read books and to study and to know more, but they don't take all that much action towards their desires. So they never start the business. They say they're going to, but they procrastinate. They create the course, but they never actually launch it. Things like that. So usually with someone like that, we can tell that they're far into that feminine energy. So now we know if we were to add that masculine energy in for you, you'll start to accelerate your life, close the knowing doing gap, and then actually take more action. You'll see magic happen. But then the other side, and this is where a lot of people, both men and women, come into my energy, and they are very, very much in the masculine. So these are the people that are very hardworking. These are the people that you might call them workaholics. You know, they don't do anything if they're not working. They don't really take vacations. If they're on vacation, they're on their phone while they're on their vacation. But I love what I do. But they've been taught that in order to be successful, in order to be manifesting, in order to be creating, in order to be productive, that you've got to always be doing. So it's a habit. It's a habit to work 24/7. And you might even tell yourself you love it because it's comfortable and because it's safe. But if you can't sit down and watch a 2-hour movie with your kids on a Friday night without getting some work done at the same time, you're too far into your masculine energy. If you can't take a weekend off to go away on a vacation and not do anything related to your business, I would say you're too far into your masculine energy and you haven't made room for the feminine energy to come. So where I find is a perfect balance of this is that I always recommend that you have to know where you think your starting point is. So if you believe you're more feminine, we're going to add some masculine. And if you believe that you're more masculine, we're going to add some feminine. So for example, for someone that is highly spiritual, highly feminine, doesn't have a lot of structure in their life, and then doesn't take action towards their business, I might tell them, okay, let's create a daily method of operation. 6 things you're going to do every single day. Make it in a list, set the times, put it into your calendar, and not go a single day without checking off that to-do list every day. But someone that's already mastered the to-do list, they have 25 to-do lists, I'm going to have them visualize. Start meditating for 20 minutes every single day. I'm going to have them go in and reprogram programs in the subconscious mind. Think about ideas and identity and what are you thinking about today and how can we change the way in which you think. So it really has a lot to do with your own individuality and where you are on the spectrum and what advice I would provide for you. I also find it's a journey, right? Like I used to be very highly masculine, very, very much in the mechanical, and now I lead in spirit a lot more. And now I am in my feminine energies, and I love to dream. I love to visualize. I do breath work. I love to go for walks and ground myself. And so rest and recovery are so important to me, but I am still in my masculine. So I do run a business. I show up most days and I do some sort of work to move my business forward. I just allow that work to come from an inspired place, in spirit. So that in spirit might be a better word for you if you struggle with the word feminine. The other thing too is the language of flow. If we think about flow and what that word means, I think about water right away. The flow of water. It just goes with the flow, and you can just follow that flow of the water and feel light. But if you're in the masculine, oftentimes you're not so available for going through the flow. Sometimes you're even like a tree that's solid and stuck in the water, and the water's going all around it, but you're like too stern in there. So we want to have that flexibility to go with the flow of life and the flow of water. And to me, that's a beautiful convergence. So I actually picture this tree in the water where the tree's like shifting and bending and going with the flow. And I feel like that's a beautiful place of understanding, of like grounding yourself, but letting the flow of life go around without being so rigid. Another analogy that I think is really beautiful too is like to think about the turbulence of life and to be on that airplane in the turbulence. If you're highly, highly masculine, and you will try to control that and you won't like it and you'll feel out of control during that experience. But once you surrender, you just enjoy the experience with the faith in knowing that you're going to get to your destination, that turbulence of life isn't going to affect you necessarily as much. So I think about the words surrender. I think about let. The mind, the subconscious. The subconscious mind is the womb of creation, the womb, nurturing of new ideas. That's the feminine energetics. And then the masculine energetics is the leadership, is the providership. It's the doing, it's the mechanical, all very, very, very important. So in my everyday life, I am in a balance between those two. And then people ask me, okay, so how do you know to balance it? And how do you know what it feels like to be in balance? And this is a personal experience within yourself. So some people will come to me and ask me, I think I'm in this balance. It feels like this and it feels like that. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it. But you decide, and you know when you are in that balance or you aren't in that balance. For me, now consistency and discipline are regular parts of my life. So there isn't like 4 days that go by that I have a to-do list that I'm just disregarding. I find myself, I get up in the morning and I do the things that are on my list, and then I move on and I go into the flow state. But you might find that that is something that can be representative of being too far into your feminine if you do keep writing out to-do lists and you keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Notice and pay attention to that. But for me, I know what it feels like to be on either spectrum, and I know what it feels like to be in the balance. So if I am out of balance these days, it's usually into the masculine, and I can notice and I can feel. So being in the masculine feels a little bit like my third eye is a little bit full. It feels a little foggy. Sometimes it might represent as a little bit of stiffness in my shoulders, or it might feel like a little bit of a dull headache sitting in my head. That's a feeling for me to know that it's time to move back over. So I'll go into rest and recovery. I'll go and have some fun, go and play. Maybe it's meditation or visualization, and allow myself to go over to there, knowing that that balances me out. And then vice versa. Sometimes if I do get far into the spiritual and I'll notice myself kind of avoiding other things in the business, I'm like, okay, why am I avoiding this today? What is that feeling? But also noticing that in the balance between the masculine and the feminine, there is a place that exists that I can just be without trying. And so when I just be without trying, that means that things come effortlessly, they come easily. I take inspired action, but if I don't want to, then I'm not going to. And if I feel like I want to meditate, I'm going to go meditate. If I want to read a book, I will. If I don't feel like it, I'm not going to feel bad. So to me, the balance is the place where we give ourselves permission to just be whatever we desire to be in that moment. and it is okay. You know, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and they say, you know, normally I love to like post on social media or I love to take action in my business, but I just don't feel like it today. I say, well, maybe that's the feminine call to do less. Maybe that's the side of you that is saying to surrender, to let. So what would it be like for you to just take the day? Can you allow yourself to surrender to taking a day off, knowing your business is going to grow anyway? And that truly has been a powerful experience in place for me. A lot of the people that I do work with that started off more in the masculine, sometimes the homework is to not do anything today. Sometimes the homework is to not take action. Sometimes the homework is to go on a vacation or you know, assign something to somebody else today. But it's the act of allowing yourself to just be and to live and to enjoy the present moment. You can actually even go into this manifestation work too far into the feminine or too far into the masculine. So there are some people that come into this manifestation work and they're like, okay, Kathleen, give me a morning routine. Tell me what I should do for the first 10 minutes of the day, then the next 10 minutes, then the next, then the next, then the next. What are the books that I should read? Oh, what chapter is it in and what page? Tell me which page it's on. And then how many minutes should I visualize for and how long should I visualize for and what should I visualize? And so what I find is for them, it's like finding what you love. Finding how long would you like to meditate for today? What would you love to visualize about today? Or what book would you love to read today? Or maybe do you even want to read today? So I'll move them more into that flow state. And then the other spectrum is some people get into this manifestation work and this manifestation energy with me and they fall so in love with it and they're like, oh, Kathleen, all day long, I'm meditating, I'm visualizing, I'm reading all the books, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm journaling, but I'm not getting any work done. I'm not working in my business. I'm like, okay, we've gone too far. And it's okay to go that far in the beginning when you first find this work and you get into it. But there comes a point that it's like, okay, well, when are you going to be it? Like, when are you actually going to be the version of you that has the multi-million-dollar business? Because the multi-million-dollar business owner isn't reading, studying, journaling, meditating all day and never creating the multi-million-dollar business, right? So it truly is that balance. And when I find myself out of balance, I don't seek for the outside world to change me. I don't seek for the outside world to say, oh, Kathleen, you're too far here, you're too far there. I actually go by how I feel. This is the biggest thing with manifestation. It is about how you feel. And don't tell me what you think I want to hear. You got to tell me how you really feel. The universe doesn't lie. Energy doesn't lie. Energy does not lie. You cannot lie to the law of attraction. You can't be like, oh, I'm feeling really good today. I'm feeling really inspired. I'm taking all kinds of action. I'm doing amazing. And think that the universe is going to be like, oh, okay, so we're playing that game today. She wants to feel all these things, so I'm going to give her that. No, it actually responds to the sponsoring thought, which is the underlying true feeling, which is, I feel sad today. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel good enough. I feel unworthy. I don't feel successful. That's the energy. So then we're going to go into the feminine work then, and we're going to ask ourselves, what could I believe that would actually serve me? What would be something I could convince myself today that would change the trajectory of my life? But instead, most people stay in the masculine. So they just keep going. I'll keep posting on social. I'll keep going live. I'll keep recording my podcast. I will keep writing the book, even though I'm in an energy of unsuccess. I feel like a failure, but I'm going to work harder in that feeling of failure. So this is truly where I love to bring people into the wholeness of who they are and to be able to experience what it means to be them and how to control their software and to move into the feminine or to the masculine when it's appropriate. And emotions are so incredibly powerful. And all of us have the experience of emotions, and that's what actually makes our experience. If we didn't have emotions, what would this world be like? What would life be like if we had zero emotions? No happiness, no sadness, no anger, no frustration, no bliss, no joy, no love. It would just be a meaningless existence. So we want that human experience. We want to feel what it feels like to have it all. I know I tried at one time to just feel the good stuff and to just drown out the rest, but that's not the true wholeness experience of who we are. There's no context to be had. So now I allow myself to experience all of it, and I love feeling all of it, and I'm grateful for feeling all of it. and I just move myself to the happier emotions a lot faster than I used to, and give myself grace when I'm feeling the not so good ones, and know that they will soon, this soon shall pass, is what I often will tell myself. But the beautiful thing about emotions is they're the power behind manifestation. They're literally the power that you hold that makes you be able to call to you what it is that you desire. And so if you're too far into your masculine, someone has probably taught you to not feel. Don't cry, don't feel. It's weak, it's vulnerable, it's dangerous, it's scary. You won't look strong. Hide it, keep it off, shut it off, don't experience it. And so you might not show your emotions to anybody else, but you might not even show them to yourself. But then you might be on the other side, where your emotions feel out of control. They feel unregulated. They feel like you can't do anything about them. Those automatic thoughts, they come, who are they? And you're reacting to them all the time. This was me. I was so sensitive. People used to say to me, you're so sensitive, Kathleen, growing up. This was probably like 5 years ago even. You take things personal. My thoughts controlled me. My emotions controlled me. And it felt like I didn't have an opportunity to take that control back. I was way too far into the feminine side. So even in our emotional states, I see the balance between the feminine and the masculine. So now for me, it's about coming into the middle and being with my emotional state, being with who I am, giving them names, allowing myself to identify what the emotion is. Where is the emotion coming from? And this is for men and women both, this work. It doesn't matter how you identify in your gender. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and those emotions are a part of it. So yes, I'm going to help you to experience the most amount of bliss that you've ever had in your life, but you're also going to have to feel that sadness too. You're also going to have to feel when you grieve. But to me, it's like, why even bother having this human experience if you aren't going to have the greatest parts of it that you can absolutely have? So that's truly this work. And when it comes to quantum leaping your life, people are like, I want to quantum leap, Kathleen. I want to collapse time. What does that mean? You collapse time in your mind first by not believing in time anymore. That's the first little hint. But to quantum leap your life means that you're going to go into that balance of the feminine and the masculine. So quantum leaping your life might be you're far into the feminine and you're going to add that masculine in, become a peak performer, show up, be disciplined, be committed, take inspired action, and boom, you quantum leap your life. Or you're heavy in the masculine, you're hustling, you're grinding, you're working hard, you don't even know how you could do any more work, you're so busy, you move over into the feminine, boom, quantum leap your life. So this is that beautiful place where quantum leaps and the collapsing of time happen in the balance between the masculine and the feminine. So for me, every single day, it is just knowing that it is a balance, knowing that there might be some days that I'm over here and some days I'm over there, but regulating myself to be able to be my most productive. But I seek the guidance from within and not from without. And remember, the limit does not exist.